So in last lecture, we were discussing about automation testing tools जो GUI testing के लिए use होता है. So वैसा ही एक tool we have right now with us. एक उसका एक short video देखेंगे. So जिससे Java based अगर कोई application है, उसको हम लोग कैसे test कर सकते हैं, उसका example मिलेगा. Same way फिर बाकी के जो GUI testing के लिए tools कौन से use कर सकता है, वो देखेंगे हम लोग. And if you can also just present to external that you have also used one or the other tool, that would be very helpful. ठीक है, so देखते हैं अभी.
Do you know what is cucumber? Have you used it before? Okay, wait, this is not the cucumber which we used to eat. This is the automation testing framework which I'm talking about. If you have not known about cucumber or if you have not used cucumber, let's see how we can use cucumber and why people use cucumber to write test cases, additional to the JUnits and the integration tests we already have.
Just 1 minute.
From Tech Primer. Behavior-driven development tests. Oh wait, what is this behavior-driven development, right? Behavior-driven development is similar to the test-driven development where we start off with test. However, in BDDs, we start off with writing behaviors. Imagine when your product owner is asking you for what was the test which you have written for a particular feature. You cannot show him the JUnit or the integration test, right? What if your CEO of the company or your business analyst or your customer comes and says, show me the feature, what does the feature deliver? You cannot show your test saying, okay, this is what the test is doing, right? People might not understand because you might be writing each feature in a different language, right? Cucumber helps us in solving that problem by creating behavior around tests. So how does the behavior help them? Because the way the behaviors are written, that is what is going to help them in understanding that particular feature. Cucumber uses a language called Gherkin, and the Gherkin language looks something like this. So this is an example of a feature file. The feature says it's a feature, so some description is present here, and the scenario says some determined business situation. So for example, let's consider the example of a fizz buzz test. So I have an example which I have a class which expects you to play with a number. If you have a multiple of 3, it is going to say fizz. If you provide a number which is a multiple of 5, it is going to say buzz. Right? So that is what my class is doing. So you can write a scenario saying this scenario is specific to get a number which is eligible for fizz and given. So you need to provide a precondition. So you can provide, let's say, I need to have my gameplay set, right? So I need to create a FizzBuzz game. That is what the given is. And could be some additional condition to support that precondition. If you don't need it, you can ignore it. The next step is the when. So when is something like an action when you want to play the game. So the when is where you play the game with a particular number. So you just say, I want to play the game with 3. So that is where the when will go. And then again, you have additional ands which are supporting the actions. Then finally, then is where the assertions happen like a normal test. So in the then you say the game returns fizz or something like that. So we will see how to write that in the next few minutes. However, why do we have BDDs? So BDDs are useful when you want to communicate the behavior of a feature to somebody who is not technical. So the behaviors are the selling point between a developer and a non-technical person. And that is why people start writing feature files or behavior driven files so that it defines the complete functionality of a feature, and these are automated as a test so that your behaviors can be changed anytime without breaking your code. So Cucumber is one such framework which uses Gherkin language and which uses the BDD approach, and it is completely open source. You can use it. I use Cucumber a lot. In the last 2 to 3 years, I have been using Cucumber a lot for writing behavior driven development tests. Now that we know what is Cucumber, let's jump into some hands-on programming with Cucumber, right? So I have my IDE open. So this is the IntelliJ IDEA. I also have the Cucumber for Java plugin because I'm going to write the code in Java. So I already have the Cucumber for Java plugin installed. You can also install that. This will help you in suggesting or correcting the files which you are writing, the feature files basically, which the Cucumber framework understands. So it used to help you in writing the Gherkin language. So I'll show you that in a while. So before that, we need to add the dependencies, the Cucumber dependencies, because we need to run some Cucumber tests, right? So we need to run the feature file. So feature file is the starting point of a Cucumber test. So it is something similar to your JUnit. Feature files are the starting point. However, in order to run those feature files and convert into the respective Java code, we need to use the Cucumber dependencies. So I'm going to use the Cucumber dependency. I am going to use the latest version of Cucumber. So the artifact and ID is Cucumber Java, and the group ID is info.cux, and the version I'm going to use is 1.2.5. So this is the current latest version of Cucumber. I'm going to use the same. Also, we need to add the JUnit dependency for it, Cucumber JUnit. So that way we can run JUnits with Cucumber. So that's it. So these are the two different Java
Good grammar and spelling are important, but if you want to write essays that inspire,
dependencies which we require for Cucumber. The starting point of Cucumber is the feature file. Let's take a look at the feature which we have written. So the feature is nothing but a game. So this is the game which is called FizzBuzz, right? If you provide a number to this particular game, so if let's say 3 people are playing this game, the player will be given a number, and based on the multiple of 3 or 5, he has to tell a different term. So if the number is a multiple of 3, he has to say fizz, and if the number is a multiple of 5, he has to say buzz, right? And also there is one more functionality which is pending, which is not written here, which is fizz buzz. So if the number is both the multiple of 3 and 5, it should be fizzbuzz. So I have not written that here, but I'll show you how I can add it and then add a new feature, right? So this is the game. So the game is pretty simple. If you just provide a number, if it is a multiple of 3, it is fizz. If it is a multiple of 5, it is buzz. That's it. So we need to write a feature file for it. So I'm going to write the feature file. I'll just call it as fizzbuzz.feature. So all Cucumber files should be renamed or should be named with an extension dot feature. And if you see here, IntelliJ automatically detects that this is a Cucumber file. Since this is a feature file, we can provide a feature. So if you see, IntelliJ is like telling me what I should write, right? And this is nothing but a feature. So I'll just say this is a fizzbuzz feature play, right? Or I'll just say fizzbuzz gameplay, because we are just playing a fizzbuzz game, isn't it? So this is just the name. So this you can write anything. If somebody sees as this particular feature file, they should be able to understand. That's the ultimate idea. That's the ultimate idea of the behavior driven test, right? So once we have the feature ready, we need to now write scenarios. So scenarios are nothing but your description for a test. So the first scenario which I'm going to run is play fizzbuzz to get fizz, right? I want to give a number which should return fizz always, right? That's what my scenario is. Now my scenario is set. I need to get the output as fizz. That's it. The next part is providing the inputs on creating this particular gameplay, right? So the first one would be given. So given is when you provide some preconditions saying, okay, this is what is required before running my game, right? So in the given part, what I will do is I will just say create a fizzbuzz game, right? I need to create a game first, right? Or I'll just say create a fizzbuzz gameplay, right? That is what my precondition is. I need to have a fizzbuzz gameplay. Now I need to provide an action. So how will the game proceed when I provide something, right? When I say, so when is the keyword which we'll be using? So all these orange are the keywords. So these are the Gherkin keywords which is required for running the Cucumber, right? So and each, as I said, given is a precondition, and when is where you provide an action. Now I need to provide an action. So what action do we need to provide? So we need to get fizz. In order to get fizz, we need to play the game with the number 3. So I'll say when I play with number 3, right? When I play with the number 3, that is what my action is. So now the game is going to play with the number 3, will be played with the number 3. Now the output needs to be verified, right? So what was the result of the game, right? That is when we will be using then. So given, when, then are the same approach which we use across all the scenarios, where given is a precondition, when is an action, and then is the assertion. So what happened after the game played, right? The result was fizz. So you can add something meaningful. Since I chose the fizzbuzz example, I'm not getting much of a meaningful sentence, but you get the point, right? The then is like an assertion. So I have written the feature file. So this is a single scenario. So in a feature file, I have one scenario. So imagine this as one particular test. Now I need to convert this into a Java code which can test the main code, right? So I have only the feature file now. We need to create something called step definition. So these are different steps. If you see, these are different steps. Whatever we have written here, given, when, and then, these are different steps, and we need to define these steps, right? Underneath these steps, there should be something happening. That is when the test is going to execute, right? So I'll use IntelliJ's feature of creating a step def right directly from here. So I'll just say create step def.
Validate your proficiency in cybersecurity with Simply Learn Cybersecurity Expert Masters Program.
It just says my file name is my step def, but I am going to provide the name as fizzbuzz step def. Also, the file location is something. I'll just say com tech primers / testing. So this will create a step definition with a single step. So see that it has created a step definition with some step, right? Now I'll have to create all these steps. So IntelliJ identifies that there is no steps defined, and it shows that by highlighting it, right? It says undefined step. What I'll do is I'll just create all these steps with the help of IntelliJ automatically. I'll just say create all step, and I'll say create it in this particular file. That's it. All my steps are done. And if you see here, there's nothing. If I run this particular test, right, it will throw an exception. So if I run this particular scenario, so in Cucumber, we call it as a scenario. I cannot call it as a test because each of these are a behavior. So each of these are nothing but a scenario. See that when I ran it, it failed. Right? Because we did not write anything. There is an exception, right? With saying do something. So I need to do something there. So let's go one by one. So in my given, what should I do? In my given, I need to say create a gameplay. So I need to create a gameplay. I need to create a fizzbuzz object, right? Because that's what I need. In order to create my gameplay, I need to create a new fizzbuzz object. So I'll just say new fizzbuzz. I'll just create a new fizzbuzz class that will create a new gameplay for me, right? The next one is I play with the number 3. So I'm going to play the game with the number 3. So we need to provide the fizzbuzz object. We'll just say play, and we just need to provide the number. So the argument is going to be the number, right? I'll just provide the number here. And this will be stored in a variable, right? And this variable is the result, isn't it? Now we need to access this result in the next step. The result was fizz, correct? So this result is now fizz. How will I assert? It's in a different function, right? So what I'll do is I'll just make this as a global variable, and I'll just use it here. Now I need to assert it. Assertions dot assert equals. I'll just say result needs to be asserted with fizz, right? Because the function says the result was fizz. The result is fizz. I can name it as result is fizz. I'll just name it as result. The result is fizz. Some grammatical right? That's it. Now I have written my scenario. I have implemented my step definitions. Let's run this test again. This should now go to success, isn't it? Yep. See that the tests are now succeeding because I provided the number 3 and my gameplay is returning fizz. Now the business says I need to provide another gameplay as well, another scenario to get buzz. I need to get buzz, right? Now here I say that I play with the number 5 and if I see I need to change the result as well, right? So when I change the result, this step definition is not present. However, if I see these can be changed anytime. So what I'll do is I'll just enclose these with double quotes and then make it as a string and I'll write my step definition as an argument. So this is going to be the result string. I'll just do the same here. Only thing is I'm just going to assert with whatever we are getting from the behavior driven test. That's it. So I don't need this particular then. I don't have to have duplicate step def, right? So I have written a step def where it returns, it gets the argument and then it asserts based on that. So that way, both of my tests are, see this, right? IntelliJ is now saying that there is no issue. Now both of my tests will work with just a single function. So this way you can write a BDD step definition in such a way that whenever you write more and more scenarios, so that your test can accept new scenarios or new step definitions without even having to change the implementation or the definition. So let's run this feature. I'll run both the features so that way I'll know that both of them are passing, right? See that both of them succeeded, right? Now the business comes and says, I'll show you a typical example when the business will be able to understand this, right? So they know that, okay, this is your feature file. Now they come and say, I need to add a new scenario saying, when I return a number, when I provide a number 15, which is a multiple of both 3 and 5, it should return fizzbuzz. So the BA or
Hi, I'm Bhavna Balakrishnan, a television presenter.
Maybe your customer, right? They will provide you this particular example. They'll just say, okay, I want the feature or the scenario to be like this, right? I'll just say 15. When I do this, I need to get this. That's it. So they will provide this as a requirement saying, okay, this is my scenario. That's it. So go and write your implementation for that. Now, when I run this particular feature file, it is obviously going to fail because there is no implementation, right? So there's no feature present in this. So that way now I have already the scenario or the test. I just need to go and change the code. So you don't have to write the scenario as a developer. However, this will be provided by your business analyst or your product owner or your customer, whoever it is, right? That's it. So now I'll go to the main class and I'll just do some refactoring. So when I do refactoring, my scenario doesn't change. The user doesn't even have to know, the BAs doesn't even have to know what I changed, right? So what I'll do is I'll just do some refactoring here. I'll enclose this into method, right? Is a multiple of 3. I need to provide, okay. Okay, this is a good example. I'll just say is a multiple of, and then I'll use it for 5 as well, right? So now if I have just refactored something, now I want to make sure my tests are working, right? I'll just run the feature file again and then make sure the tests are not affected. The other 2 tests are not affected. Yeah, both got succeeded. Now I'll go and add my new one. Is a multiple of 3 and is a multiple of 5. So this is what I wanted, right? If it is a multiple of 3 and 5 both, I'll just say fizzbuzz. So this is my feature. I've added a new feature or a scenario basically for the behavior driven test. I'll run the scenario again. I'll run the feature file again. Now all the 3 should pass because I have added the fizzbuzz as well. However, notice that it is not succeeding. Why? Because if you see, the number was a multiple of 3 already, and it returned fizz before it even reached this particular line. I'll just move this if loop above and see that, because the first time when it came, it was successful with this particular if loop, and that is why it went to fizz. Now I am moving this operation above, so that way I know that if it is a multiple of both, then first return fizz bus, then only come to the other checks, right? See that all my scenarios are successful, and IntelliJ shows up in a well structured manner, right? So if you have a very big feature file and then you have lots of scenarios in it, you can easily check that with lots of step depths, right? So this is how you can write a cucumber test, basically a behavior driven test. So I'll just summarize again. So cucumber is a behavior driven development framework which is open.
ओके सो दैट्स वन थिंग. अब देखो कि यहाँ पे ऐसे कुछ जो ऑटोमेशन टेस्टिंग टूल रहता है वो आपको थोड़ा बहुत पहले एक बार सीखना पड़ता है. इट्स नॉट लाइक कि हम लोगों ने एक बार वहाँ पे देखा और वो सेम हम लोगों को बहुत सिंपल वे में हम लोगों को वो मिल जाएगा या हम लोग उसको बहुत इजीली यूज़ कर पाएंगे. थोड़े बहुत इजी होते हैं बट आपको थोड़ा एक आध बार खुद से ट्राई तो करना ही पड़ेगा, उसके बिना नहीं चलेगा. So if you want to learn something like this, तो आपको कहीं ना कहीं एक बार वो सीखना पड़ेगा. एंड रिमेंबर मार्केट में इसका बहुत ज़्यादा डिमांड है, ठीक है. सो आप अगर एक बार अगर सीख गए तो ऐसे ऑटोमेशन टेस्टिंग टूल की आज के टाइम पे ज़रूरत है. वी डोंट रिक्वायर पीपल जो मैनुअल टेस्टिंग ही सिर्फ कर रहे हैं. ऑटोमेशन टेस्टिंग टूल्स का बहुत ज़्यादा डिमांड है, आपको अगर पता है या नहीं है. बट दे आर नॉट गोइंग टू बी जस्ट अ डेवलपर जिनको जिनकी रिक्वायरमेंट है, बट ये सेम ऑटोमेशन टेस्टिंग टूल की भी ज़रूरत है. तो ट्राई करो कि आप सीख सको. एटलीस्ट कोई एक सीख लो ध्यान से जो आपको बेटर लगता हो. सारे हम लोग सीख पाएंगे वो तो पॉसिबल ही नहीं है, बट एटलीस्ट अगर आप कोई एक आधा दो अगर सीख सको तो वो बहुत बेटर रहेगा. देन मैं आपको ऑप्शंस बता रहा हूँ जो हम लोग यूज़ कर सकते हैं. आप नेक्स्ट टाइम आप आराम से बैठ के डिसाइड करो कि आपको कौन सा बेटर लग रहा है, जो भी हम लोगों ने सीखा उसमें से, या फिर जो भी हम लोगों ने सिर्फ डिस्कस किए कुछ उसमें से. एंड बेस्ड ऑन दैट यू कैन जस्ट डिसाइड कि ओके विच वन इज़ मोर सूटेबल फॉर यू. एंड एटलीस्ट एक सीखने का ट्राई करो. सो वी हैव इनफ टाइम राइट नाउ, नथिंग इज गोइंग ऑन, लाइक वी आर एट होम ओनली in our home's comfort. So this is the best time for you, because if companies are not directly appointing people, then there has to be some way जहाँ पे हम लोग चीज़ों को सीख सके, ठीक है. बिकॉज डायरेक्टली ऐसे ही काम नहीं चलेगा, आपको थोड़ा बहुत सीखना तो पड़ेगा. सो नेक्स्ट विल बी हैविंग इज नेक्स्ट ऑटोमेशन टेस्टिंग टूल जिसको हम लोग रेनोरेक्स बोलते हैं. अब हाउ दिस थिंग वर्क देख लो ध्यान से.
Welcome to the first video in the Ranorex Studio Quick Start series. Install Ranorex Studio and create your first test. Ranorex Studio version 9 and later is compatible with all versions of Microsoft Windows and Microsoft Windows Server. For more information on the system requirements, please refer to the user guide, a link to which can be found in this video's description. A free trial of Ranorex Studio can be obtained from www.ranorex.com/free-trial. You will need to complete the required fields. Be sure to enter a business email rather than a personal email address. If you do not have a business email address, please use the Contact Us link for assistance. Once the form is submitted, you will receive an email from Ranorex, including a download link for the evaluation version of Ranorex Studio. If you are unable to download an executable file, you can download a zip file by following the link. Once you have downloaded the file, run it and follow the instructions in the installation wizard. Choose the default installation options for Ranorex Studio's main components. Be sure to also install the browser add-ons. Click Finish. You are now ready to start your free trial and begin building tests. The Rocket Start New Solution wizard appears. The wizard configures the technology that you wish to test: desktop, web, or mobile. Or you can choose blank to make a new solution manually. For now, let's choose desktop. Give the solution a meaningful name. You can accept the default location or choose a new location. Click Additional Options and you will see that the project defaults to the same name. To create the solution files within the Ranorex Studio directory structure, check the first box. You can also add the project directly to a source control server. Ranorex Studio supports Git, Subversion, and Microsoft Team Foundation Server. Click Continue. Now the wizard prompts you to select your application under test. You can choose from a list of running applications or select Browse for Application. Here, you can navigate to where your application is saved. In this example, the Ranorex demo app, which can be found in the Downloads folder. Click Continue. The recording behavior dialog appears with 3 options. Focus on single application whitelists the Ranorex demo app so that Ranorex Studio ignores all other applications during test recording and test runs. This makes recording easier and your tests run faster. Focus on multiple applications allows you to select more applications to whitelist. No focus applied allows Ranorex Studio to interact with any running processes. Let's choose Focus on Single Application. Click Continue. Then click Finish. The Ranorex Studio user interface appears with your new solution. The module browser contains 3 modules: one to close the demo app, one to open the demo app, and a single empty recording. There is also a single test case within the test suite. Open the test case and you will see that setup and teardown regions have already been configured with the modules to start and close the application under test. If we run the test, we see that Ranorex Studio automatically opens and closes the application under test. Watch the next video in this series. Welcome to the second video in the Ranorex Studio Quick Start series, the Ranorex Studio Working Environment. This video describes the components of a Ranorex solution and the parts of the Ranorex Studio interface. Having opened Ranorex Studio, you are greeted by the Studio Start page. On the left side, in the Sample Projects section, locate the desktop example and click to open it. The Ranorex Studio user interface appears. On the left, you see the Projects view. The top item in the hierarchy is the solution. The solution contains one project and the libraries and files required to execute that project. Although it is possible to have 2 or more projects in a solution, it is a best practice to have just one project per solution. Below the Projects view is the Ranorex module browser. A module is a small unit of code that executes one or more test steps. You can combine modules to create sophisticated automated test cases. There are 2 types of modules: recording modules, which are created by the Ranorex recorder during a capture and replay session, and code modules, which are created by test automation engineers using C# or VB.NET. You will notice that modules can be organized into logical groups. In this sample desktop project, there are 2 groups: a Start and Login group with 2 recording modules, and a Save and Close group, also with 2 recording modules. Click on a module to see the variables associated with it. In the center of the screen is the File view. When you double-click on an item in the Projects window or the module browser, the associated file opens here. Let's look at the contents of the Add Entry recording module. When you open the recording module, the File view automatically opens in Action Editor mode so that you can edit the recording. This recording module contains a series of actions including mouse clicks, key sequences, and invoke actions. Below the actions, you can see the repository items for the recording. Each repository item represents a UI element in the application under test. If you click on the first action, you will see a screenshot of the corresponding UI element in the repository. In the next video in the Ranorex Studio Quick Start series, you will see how to record. Welcome to the third video in the Ranorex Studio Quick Start series. In this video, you will learn how to record an automated test. The following guidelines will help make your recording session successful. Verify that the screen resolution on all displays is set to 100%. A higher resolution can cause issues with locating elements in the application under test. Close all applications except for Ranorex Studio. While recording, perform user actions with only the mouse. For example, don't use the Tab key to navigate between fields. Click every step. If you have not already done so, you will need to download the Ranorex demo app, a link to which can be found in this video's description. Now let's record your first test. We will use the test solution we created in the first video in this series. If you have not already created a test solution, you can learn how to do so by clicking the on-screen link. Ensure that the Ranorex demo app is running. Double-click on the Recording 1 module to open it in the File view. Click Record. Ranorex Studio minimizes automatically, revealing the demo app and the Ranorex recorder controls. Move your mouse over the user interface elements to the demo app. Notice the red box, which appears as the Ranorex Spy tool automatically identifies UI elements. Click the Enter Your Name text field, type Harry, and click Submit. Notice that your actions appear instantly in the recording history. Here, you can hover over the eye to see the screenshot for an action, or click the trash can to delete an action. It's also possible to add some types of actions manually. You can pause your recording at any time or press Shift and Escape to stop. Now let's add a validation to check that the welcome message shows the name that you just entered. To add a validation, click Validate. Highlight the welcome message. Look for the purple frame indicating that the UI element has been identified, then click it. The Select Element window opens. Verify that the screenshot shows the correct element to validate, then click Next. In the Validation Settings window, select which attributes to validate. Exists and Text should be selected. Click OK to confirm and return to recording mode. Now press the Stop button to stop recording. Your recorded test steps appear in the Action Editor. Here, you can edit the recorded steps or even delete them and start over if you wish. Watch the next video in this series for an explanation of the Action Editor and the Ranorex Object Repository. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel by clicking the link in the center of your screen. Forget to subscribe to our channel. Welcome to the fourth video in the Ranorex Studio Quick Start series. In this video, you will get an overview of the actions recorded in the previous video, a link to which can be found on the screen. You will also learn about the repository items created during recording and how these are connected to the recorded actions. Let's begin by taking a look at Projects View, which is organized in a hierarchy. The top level of the hierarchy is the solution, which contains the project created in the previous video in this series. The project contains one test suite, which has the file extension rxtst. The project also contains a repository with information about user interface elements found in the application under test, and the code or recording modules used in the test suite. Below the projects view is the module browser, which contains a single recording, plus modules to open and close the application under test. Double-click on the recording to open it in the Action Editor. Below the Action Editor, you see the repository items for the UI elements that Ranorex Studio identified while the test was being recorded. Step 1 is a mouse click that brings the Enter Your Name field into focus. Step 2 is a key sequence that enters the text Harry into the Enter Your Name field. Step 3 is a mouse click on the Submit button. Step 4 is a validation of the welcome message. You can use the action editor to manually add new actions, such as a mouse click or a key sequence. Edit existing actions, such as changing the input from Harry to Sally, reorder actions, and delete them. Now let's take a look at the repository items which Ranorex Studio created automatically during the recording session. The name of each item comes from its properties. The Ranorex path uniquely identifies each UI item within the demo application. The Enter Your Name item represents the Enter Your Name text box. Click on this item to see the screenshot of it that Ranorex Studio captured during the recording session. Then, click on Edit in SPY to see the Ranorex path for this item. The button Submit Username item represents the Submit button. The Label Welcome Message item represents the text label for the welcome message. You can edit repository items in several ways. For example, you can manually add new items. You can change the names of existing items to make them more meaningful, and you can use the Edit in SPY function to change the path to the item. You can also delete repository items that aren't being used in an automated test. In the action table, you see the repository item associated with each recorded action. Notice that when you click on an action, the associated repository item is highlighted automatically. Watch the next video in this series to learn how to run an automated test in Ranorex Studio. And welcome to the 5th video in the Ranorex Studio Quick Start series. In this video, you will learn how to execute an automated test and review the test run report. To begin, open the Recording 1 module from the previous video in this series. A link to this video is on screen now. Notice that there is no step to start the Ranorex Studio demo app. If you try to run your recorded test when the demo app is closed, the test will fail. You could open the demo app manually, but why not let Ranorex Studio do this for you? The Rocket Start Wizard automatically created modules to start and close the application under test, so let's use those now. Double-click the Start AUT module, then click Run. You should see the demo app open. A test run report appears in the file view with an informational message that the application was opened. Close this report. Now, click the Recording 1 module to open it in the file view. Click the Run button and watch Ranorex Studio execute the steps that you recorded earlier. Do not use the keyboard or mouse during the test run. When the test run finishes, the report opens in a new tab in Ranorex Studio. Scroll down if necessary to review the messages from the test run. Then, close the report. Now, open the Close AUT module in the file view and run it to close the demo app. Instead of running the Start AUT, Close AUT modules individually, you can put them together into a test case. The Start New Solution Quick Start Test Suite in the file view, and you will see that there is one test case with a setup and a teardown function. The Start AUT and Close AUT modules have been added to these sections for you. Run the entire test suite. You are then greeted by the demo app and the dialog yield when working on larger tests. The test run report appears in the file view. Click the arrow next to the test case and record module for more details about the test. In addition to running a test suite from within Ranorex Studio, you can run test suites from the command line. For more information, refer to the Ranorex Studio user guide, which is linked in the video description. This test run was successful. Watch the next video in this series to see how to resolve a test Welcome to the final video in the Ranorex Studio Quick Start series. In this video, you will learn how to fix a test run that has failed. To do that, edit the existing recorded test so that it will fail. The validation step expects to see the text, "Welcome, Harry," in the welcome message. Let's change the input value for the Enter Your Name field to a different value. Click the Recording 1 tab to return to the Action Editor. Change the input value for the key sequence to Sally. Return to the Test Suite view and execute the test. The test run fails, as shown in the test run report. In a real-life situation, you wouldn't hard-code a data value in the Enter Your Name field. Instead, you would use an internal data table or an external source, such as an Excel file, CSV file, or SQL database connector. To see how to set up data-driven testing, refer to the Ranorex Studio user guide, which is linked in the video description. For now, change the input value back to Harry. The test completes successfully. This concludes the Ranorex Studio Quick Start video series. To learn more about automating tests with Ranorex Studio, visit the Resources section of the Ranorex website, where you will find informative articles about software testing, white papers, and screencasts.
Okay, so that is about a second such automation testing tool, Ranorex. अब आपको देखो यहाँ पे है ना दो टाइप के सिमिलर Ranorex एक है और एक Selenium ID है. बोथ आर वेरी सिमिलर इन नेचर. तो आप दोनों में से जिसके साथ ज़्यादा कंफर्टेबल हो, वी कैन यूज़ दैट वन. Selenium हम लोगों ने लास्ट टाइम देखा था. इफ़ यू डोंट नो, यू कैन जस्ट गो एंड हैव अ लुक एट दोज वीडियोज एज वेल. दैट इज जो हम लोग बेसिकली Selenium के थ्रू कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, सो Selenium बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. सो Ranorex या Selenium दोनों में से कोई भी एक हम लोग यूज कर सकते हैं. दूसरे आपको सिर्फ देखना क्या है, यू जस्ट सिलेक्ट एनी वन फ्रॉम दिस एंड उसके बेस के ऊपर हम लोग यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं कि विच वन इज मोर बेटर. तो अब जितने भी हम लोग टूल्स देख रहे हैं वो सारे आपको यूज करने ऐसा नहीं है. वी कैन जस्ट यूज एनी वन फ्रॉम दिस एज पर आवर नीड्स एंड रिक्वायरमेंट और विच वन वी आर कंफर्टेबल, मोर कंफर्टेबल विथ. ठीक है, सो एक आपका Ranorex हो गया, एक अभी हम लोगों ने स्टार्टिंग में जो Selenium देखा था पहले के लेक्चर में, आज नहीं, वो हो गया. एंड थर्ड जो है दैट इज QTP या UTF. ठीक है, सो वो अब कैसे वर्क करेगा या वो आप कैसे यूज कर सकते हैं. सो इंस्टेड ऑफ यूजिंग Ranorex, इफ यू आर कंफर्टेबल, यू कैन यूज दिस वन एज वेल. ठीक है, which is way better, or you can say if you are comfortable. So it's purely based to a tester's choice कि वो कौन सा automation testing tool use कर रहा है, या फिर हम लोग जहाँ पे जॉब कर रहे हैं वहाँ पे वो कंपनी का या वो MNC का प्रेफरेंस कौन सा है, उसके बेस के ऊपर विल बी लर्निंग. सो याद रखो, दिस टेस्टिंग टूल्स आर वेरी मच इन डिमांड. सो एक लास्ट अभी हम लोग देख लेते हैं आज के लिए.
Software testing is one of the main streams in the recent past. Testing the system against all odds make the entire process easier. So the market of software testing is mainly dominated by powerful and dynamic tools like Selenium.
I hope sound आ रहा है ना. हेलो हेलो, साउंड आ रहा है. हेलो,
Selenium, Qtp, Cucumber, Protractor, and so on. But the most popular tools among these are Selenium and Qtp because of their features and functionalities. Hi all, this is Vaishnavi on behalf of Edureka, presenting you the head-to-head comparison between the two major automation testing giants and noting down the differences between them. So before we proceed further, let's take a look at the agenda. Okay, so we'll start this session by understanding what is QTP and learn about the automation process that takes place in this tool. And then we'll discuss about another automation testing tool, Selenium, and know its features. And once we're done with that, we'll take a look at the operations carried out by each of these tools, and we'll also see the advantages of these tools over each other. And finally, we'll wrap up the session by comparing them based on some parameters. So I hope the agenda was clear to you guys. Now, without any further ado, let's get straight to the module and learn about the first topic, what is QTP? So before we understand what is QTP, let's dig into the history of QTP. QTP is an acronym for Quick Test Professional, which is now called Unified Functional Testing, UFT. Let's see how this happened. QTP was originally written by Mercury Interactive and they called it Quick Test Professional. And this software was later acquired by the Hewlett-Packard, HP in the year 2006. And later this software was combined with the HP Service Test and it was integrated to a single software package. And this version was available till 2016 until the entire division was sold to Micro Focus. So this is all about the history of QTP. Now let's understand what exactly happens in this tool. QTP is basically designed to test various software applications and environment. QTP is mainly used for UI-based test case automation, which can even automate non-UI test cases as well, such as file operation, database testing, and so on. You might ask, which programming language should I learn to work on QTP? QTP mainly uses VBScript. Most of you might know what is a VBScript. VBScript is basically an active scripting language which helps in modeling the visual basics. So QTP supports this programming language to run the test cases. QTP also provides functional and regression test automation. By functional testing, I mean the system is tested against the functional requirements or specifications like the technical details, data manipulation, and so on. Whereas regression testing refers to the process of testing the application even after modifying the source code. QTP also helps in providing quality assurance to the software under test. So that's it about QTP, guys. Now let's understand what is Selenium. I think most of you guys are very familiar with this automation testing tool, but let me give you a clear definition of this tool. So before we get to the technical definition of Selenium, let's take a look at the history of Selenium and see how Selenium came into existence. The name Selenium comes from a joke made by Huggins while writing an email mocking the competitor called Mercury, saying that you can cure any mercury poisoning by taking selenium supplements. Selenium in general is a chemical element. So that's when he introduced the word selenium in technical terms. So the others who received the mail took the name and started digging deep into it. So that's how the name Selenium came into existence. It was originally developed as an internal tool by the man Jason Huggins in the year 2004 until he was joined by another colleague called Paul Hammond and started the operation of Selenium RC. Correspondingly, in the year 2005, Dan Fabulich and Nelson Sproul made an offer to accept the series of patches that would transform Selenium RC into what it is now known for. While all this was happening, Huggins joined Google in the year 2007, and at the same time, Simon Stott called it Selenium WebDriver. So after all this happened, in the year 2009, they decided to merge the two projects and call it as Selenium WebDriver or Selenium 2.0. So this is all about the history of Selenium. Now let's understand the purpose of this tool. Selenium is an automation tool used to test web applications. The growth of software testing increased the demand in the field of Selenium as it is an open source portable framework that helps in automating web applications. This tool is run across different browsers like Chrome, Safari, Opera, Firefox, Explorer, and so on. And it also supports cross-browsing, which helps in executing the process across multiple platforms simultaneously. You might ask, which programming language should I learn or understand to work on Selenium? Okay, so the test scripts in Selenium can be written using any programming language like Java, Python, Ruby, C#, and so on. But the most commonly used language is Java because of its user-friendly behavior. So this is all about Selenium. Now let's understand the benefits of these tools over each other. First, let's talk about the benefits of Selenium over Qtp. Qtp is licensed and the cost of this tool is very high. It supports only VBScript programming language, and the test scripts cannot be written in any other languages like Java, Python, and so on. So it can run only on the Windows environment, and it does not provide support across all browsers. Qtp does not support functioning across different IDEs, and it works only on the Qtp developed IDEs. And it also allows only limited add-ons to the process. Qtp can also execute parallel testing, but only using Quality Center, which is again a paid product of HP. So these are all the advantages of Selenium over Qtp. Now let's take a look at the advantages of Qtp over Selenium. Qtp can test web, mobile, and desktop application, whereas Selenium tests only web applications. It has its own inbuilt object repository where all the information regarding the test cases are stored. The rate of automation in Qtp is fast compared to that of Selenium. Qtp can handle controls within the browser like accessing the favorite bar, access bar, back and forward buttons, etc. It also provides functional user support if the user faces some issues. And the test reports are generated automatically, which does not happen in Selenium. So this is all about the benefits of these tools over each other. Now let's take a look at the ultimate face-off between these tools. We'll first compare them based on their cost. That is, if the tools are licensed or free of cost, or if they have any community edition. Then we'll compare them based on their flexibility, check if they can be run across various platforms, and then we'll move on to the programming language required to run the test scripts. And after that, we'll look into their IDE basis and check if they can work on different IDE platforms. And we'll also look into the repository functionality, where we get to understand which tool is more efficient. And finally, we'll compare them based on their environment on which they can work on. So let's start comparing them based on their license. Selenium, as you know, is an open source tool and the user does not have to pay for any of the versions of this tool. Whereas Qtp is licensed and the user has to pay to get this software on his system. So this is about the license of these tools. Now let's talk about their flexibility. Selenium is highly flexible because the test scripts can be run across different platforms like Chrome, Firefox, Opera, and so on, and it can test only web applications. Whereas Qtp is not very flexible when it comes to executing the test cases across different platforms. It mainly supports Windows and executes the tests there, and it can test web, mobile, and desktop applications. So this is about their flexibility. Next, it's their programming language required to run the test scripts. Test scripts in Selenium can be written using different programming languages like Java, Python, C#, Ruby, and so on. Whereas Qtp test scripts are written using VB scripts, and it cannot process the system using Java or any other simple programming language. So this is about the programming language required. Now let's talk about their IDE basis. Selenium test scripts can be integrated to run across IDEs like Eclipse, NetBeans, .NET, and so on, whereas Qtp test scripts work only on the Qtp developed IDE. It cannot be integrated to work on Eclipse, NetBeans, or any other IDE basis. So let's move on to understand their repository now. Selenium does not have an inbuilt repository as it uses the element in the user interface to test the applications, whereas Qtp has an inbuilt object repository where the test scripts are executed. So this is about the repository. Now we'll finally compare them based on the environment support. Selenium supports all additional plugins alongside the features of it, whereas Qtp supports different environments like SAP, Oracle, and so on, and it does not support the additional plugins to the software. So with this, we come to the end of the session on Qtp versus Selenium. Both Selenium and Qtp are the pillars of software testing, and each have their pros and cons.
Okay, so that is another thing कि जहाँ पे हम लोग रेडीमेड सच टूल्स यूज कर सकते हैं. सो यू प्योरली यू सपोज टू यूज इट एज पर योर नीड्स और आप जिससे ज़्यादा कंफर्टेबल है. सो हम लोगों ने वही सम रेडीमेड टेस्टिंग टूल्स देखे नाउ इट्स वेरी मच रिक्वायर्ड कि आपने ये सब्जेक्ट पढ़ा है तो एटलीस्ट वन ऑफ दिस टूल यू ट्राई टू यूज, और इफ you ask me, I found Selenium is the best one compared to the other ones. So आप वो आपको यूज़ करना, ये वो जो भी है, आप एक बार अगर ट्राई करेंगे you can easily learn Selenium IDE as well on browser as a plugin also, and if you are working with some other प्लेटफॉर्म लाइक नेटबीन्स पे अगर जावा कर रहे हैं आप या और कोई, तो वहाँ पे भी वो इजीली आप इंटीग्रेट कर पाएंगे. सो वी कैन ट्राई टू यूज़ सिलेनियम आईडी इन आवर फाइनल प्रोजेक्ट जो आप बताएंगे उसमें. सो वो बेटर रहेगा. ठीक है. सो आज के लिए हम लोग यहाँ तक ही रखते हैं. नेक्स्ट टाइम हम लोगों का जो थियरी टॉपिक्स बाकी है वो हम लोग कंटिन्यू करेंगे, एंड बाकी के भी कुछ पॉइंट्स जो है वो भी हम लोग देखते जाएंगे. ओके, आई होप आज के इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है. एनीवन, एनी डाउट्स? ओके, देन विल स्टॉप टुडेज लेक्चर हियर.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, when you paste the links of the videos, it will be really helpful to refer later.
हाँ ठीक है. लिंक्स ज़रूरी नहीं है. लिंक्स में हम लोगों ने सिर्फ उनके ट्यूटोरियल्स ही देखे हैं. आई मीन आई जस्ट पेस्ट देयर नेम्स बिकॉज वो जो वीडियो है दैट्स ओनली फॉर अ बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग. उससे हम लोग वो वीडियोस में जो भी पॉइंट्स दिए वो सीख नहीं पाएंगे. सो आई विल जस्ट प्रोवाइड यू the names of those software, and later from Udemy या from some other places या उनके official website से you can just we can just easily learn those softwares. वो better रहेगा.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll just put up their names. Chat box में मैंने देखो डाला है. So we have mainly Selenium या QTP यूज़ करेंगे, या कुकुम्बर है, Ranorex है. ये चार देखे आज हम लोगों ने. So इसमें से you follow any one course. Remember आपको जो OTT sorry जो मैसिव ऑनलाइन ओपन कोर्सेज मूक कोर्सेज जो होते हैं वहाँ से फाइंड एनी वन कोर्स फॉर दिस टूल्स और आप वो सीख सकते हो. सो इफ़ यू आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड इन डेवलपमेंट, रिमेंबर ऑटोमेशन टेस्टिंग टूल. टेस्टिंग में भी आपको ऑटोमेशन टेस्टिंग टूल अगर आता रहेगा देन यू विल ईजिली गेट हायर्ड एट एनी बिग कंपनी, और वहाँ पे आपको बहुत ईजिली प्रमोशंस भी मिलेंगे. सो अभी से सीखना चालू कर दो. आपका एग्जाम कंप्लीट होने तक यू कैन ईजिली लर्न एनी वन ऑफ दिस टूल. ठीक है. any other person, any other doubts? ठीक है, चलो then we'll stop today's lecture. Okay, SQA assignment topics. Karina, there are Karina, sorry. Then no problem if topic get clashed because आपके टॉपिक्स क्लैश हो रहे हैं लेकिन प्रोजेक्ट जो है वो क्लैश नहीं होगा. मैंने बोला है ना कि जो भी टॉपिक अगर हम लोग सिलेक्ट करेंगे उसको विथ रेफरेंस टू योर प्रोजेक्ट यू सपोज टू एक्सप्लेन इट. तो वो वे में वो आपके टॉपिक्स एज पर द थियरी टॉपिक वो क्लैश होंगे, बट प्रोजेक्ट वाइज वो क्लैश नहीं होगा. तो एक्सप्लेनेशन हर किसी का अलग ही होगा. एंड आफ्टर इंटरनल्स वी सपोज टू वर्क विद दिस. या वी कैन सिलेक्ट टॉपिक फ्रॉम एनी यूनिट. 5 यूनिट्स वी हैव. ऑलमोस्ट हम लोग का सिलेबस भी हो गया. तो आप कोई भी 5 यूनिट्स में से कोई भी टॉपिक सिलेक्ट करके उसके बेस के ऊपर यू कैन जस्ट प्रोवाइड योर एक्सप्लेनेशन और प्रेजेंटेशन. एंड मैंने ये भी बोला है कि पीपीटी बनाना भी कंपलसरी नहीं है. सो यू कैन एक्सप्लेन थिंग्स इन अदर वेज एज वेल. ठीक है. सो आज का लेक्चर यहाँ तक ही रखते हैं.